As a photographer, it can be pretty discouraging to put so much time and effort into developing your craft, only to be told over and over again that video is the way of the future and photography is dead. But you and I both know that photography is not dead, but also video is the way of the future. There's room for both. Hi, my name is Paige Major, and I do both photo and video in my business. I also have a YouTube agency where I do everything from video strategy to editing and optimization. But today I want to talk to you about how you can add video to your brand photography business using most of the skills, knowledge, and equipment that you already have. We're going to go over some examples of how your clients can use these videos, the top reasons why you should or should not consider learning video, the gear you need to get started, how photo settings are different from video settings, how to add video into your current photography packages, how to figure out pricing for video, editing software, and ways to improve your video skills. So I know you already know how important video is, but let's take a look at a few statistics and predictions for 2023. According to HubSpot, video is the #1 form of media used in content strategy, overtaking blogs and infographics. According to WiseOwl, 86% of businesses now use video as a marketing tool, and the remaining 12% that don't use video say it's because they lack time, it's too expensive, or they don't know where to start. And Social Media Week says that 88% of marketers are committed to devoting more dollars to video campaigns in the future. So what does this mean for you? It means that there is a high demand for video and there will continue to be in the future. Video is here to stay. However, it does not mean that you need to become a full-fledged filmmaker. You can incorporate video into your photography business without needing to learn about mics, lights, and advanced editing techniques. You don't even need to create separate sessions and offers. You can take what you're already doing on photo shoot day and simply add in video options by creating B-roll. You're probably already familiar with A and B-roll, but in case you're not, A-roll is the main footage, like a person talking directly face to camera, like I am right now, and B-roll is the extra footage that's used to make the story more engaging. It's supplemental footage that can be used with any audio or no audio at all. Using your DSLR or mirrorless camera, you can create B-roll footage throughout your photo shoot that your clients can turn around and use in a number of different ways. Here's an example of my friend Angie McPherson using B-roll on her website to show what she looks like behind the scenes on a photo shoot. My friend Meg McMillan also utilizes B-roll on her website to showcase a little bit of her personality and what it looks like when you're working with her. She's using the beach and the city, which ties in the fact that she's located in San Diego. I do the same thing on my website, except my footage is giving visitors an idea of what the experience is like from start to finish on a shoot day with me, starting with hair and makeup and moving to various locations. I made this video in 2018 and recorded 99% of it by myself on a tripod. Obviously, all of these examples are brand photographers, and you probably are as well, so it's a little bit more obvious as to what our B-roll would look like. But what about B-roll for other industries? Jenna Kutcher has had B-roll footage on her website headers for as long as I can remember. She has footage of her writing in a workbook as a background for her quiz. She's podcasting in the banner that promotes her podcast. She's showing off her book on her blog banner. She's utilizing video to show off a little bit of her personality and her favorite things. And she's taking you behind the scenes with a peek into her family life where it says, "Just a small town Minnesota mama." Using B-roll video adds to the story and makes it more visually appealing and engaging. The last website sample I'm going to show you belongs to my friend and client Annie Miller. The video in her header shows off a little bit of her personality, and if you scroll down to the banner for her fitness programs and courses, there's B-roll of her working out and demonstrating movements in a gym. Annie is also a business coach for fitness professionals, and the B-roll in the banner for her business courses and programs shows off a little more of her business side of things. Annie also uses the same video footage on her Instagram account. In these two reels, she recorded her voice talking over the videos. She's using her voice to build connection and the videos to paint a better picture of the story. In this reel, she used B-roll in the background, but added a dark overlay and text with music to create something more visually appealing than just reading a caption. The last one is a post rather than a reel. She used the same video footage again, but this time she added a text box and made it the first slide of a carousel post. So as you can see, there are a lot of different ways that a client can utilize these B-roll clips. I didn't even take screen recordings of her stories, but she uses them a lot there as well. I promise we're going to talk about gear and other fun stuff soon, but if you have other ideas for how footage from B-roll can be used by your clients, let me know in the comments below. So what are the top reasons to start offering video? Number 1, to better serve your clients. Number 2, it sets you apart. Number 3, you can make more money. And lastly, Learning how to do video will make you a better photographer. There is so much less room for error and making changes in post. You can't just Photoshop things out of the background in a video, and making up for poor lighting and improper exposure is a lot harder. With video, you will learn how to get things as close to perfect as possible in camera, which will ultimately save you time in photo editing too. So what are the 3 reasons not to offer video? Number 1, you make plenty of money already. Number 2, you're booked and have no time. Number 3, you just don't want to. And that's important. Just because there is a demand for video does not mean that you have to be the one to fulfill that demand. If you're watching this, it obviously means that you're interested in exploring the option. But if deep down you truly have no desire to learn video, then don't. Photographers will continue to run successful businesses on photography alone, and I know several people who choose to partner with a videographer instead of learning it themselves. However, let's say that you don't hate the idea of doing video and you're like, Paige, I want to start offering video. Where do I start? Well then, in that case, let's talk about gear. The most important gear you need is a DSLR or mirrorless camera that is capable of shooting video. Unless your camera's really, really old, it's probably capable. I used my Nikon D750 when I first got started, and that thing didn't even have autofocus. Did I upgrade all of my gear to mirrorless specifically for video? Yes, I did. But I worked with what I had for 3 years before doing so. You're also going to need memory cards with lots of storage and high writing speeds. When I shoot in 4K at 60 frames per second, it takes around 2 gigabytes to record 1 minute of video. This is not something that you want to overlook because running out of space on your memory card mid-shoot would not be good. And video files take up significantly more space than raw image files. You also want to be sure that your cards have good writing speeds to not only speed up the workflow when you transfer the files to your computer, but also to ensure that the card can actually handle the data files of the video you're wanting to capture. There's plenty more gear to explore as time goes on, like lights, mics, gimbals, monitors, etc. But we're not going to go into those things today because we're trying to get started with the gear that we already have. Okay, this is something that's really important to know. The settings for shooting video are not the same settings you use when taking photos. Just like there's a set of rules for shutter speed, aperture, and ISO for photography, there's a different set of rules for video involving all 3 plus white balance, picture profiles, and frame rates. I'm not going to dig into those settings right now because there are a lot of variables, but know that there is definitely a difference between manually taking photos and manually filming videos. So let's talk about how we can integrate these video skills into our existing photography business. Number 1, you could just include it. Having it as a regular part of your package would definitely be going above and beyond in your client experience. A lot of photographers already do something similar to this by including professional hair and makeup. Of course, if that's the route you want to go, you need to raise your prices so that you aren't doing more work for free. Factor in the additional time just like you would for paying a hair and makeup artist. Number 2, you could offer it as an add-on. If you offer a 3-hour half-day shoot, you could have the option to add on video clips the same way you might have an option to add on a hair or makeup artist. And lastly, you could offer the video as a standalone service. I don't necessarily see why someone would choose only to do B-roll clips and not take photos while they're at it, but it is an option. Once you've decided how you want to work video into your offerings, you need to think about pricing. Hopefully you already have figured out your cost of doing business and you know the hourly rate that you want to make within your photography business. If you haven't, then adding video is definitely going to make things more complicated. When it comes to pricing your video services, here are some things to think about. If you're taking video clips during a photo shoot without extending the length of the time that you're there, then it's not really costing you any additional time during that session. However, it will require some additional time for transferring files. You're going to have more capacity for storing the files, and you're going to need a way to deliver the files. All of these things require extra time and money. On top of that, you're going to need to account for editing time. Video editing is a whole different beast in itself. For starters, you're going to need editing software. There are free options such as iMovie, DaVinci Resolve, and then there are paid options such as Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere. You're also going to want to make sure that your computer has enough RAM to be able to handle large video files. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting the spinning wheel of death the entire time. I've been there and it's super frustrating. When it comes to editing time, I will say that on average, I feel like editing video takes me about 3 times as long as photo editing does. Of course, this varies from project to project. Just because the deliverable seems small does not mean that the price should be small. I recently did video event coverage for one of my friend's media companies. And of course, you're probably not just going to start taking on conferences when you're first getting started, but this is a really good example of why you should not price things based only on the length of the final product. For this project, I spent about 13 hours filming, 4 hours transferring almost a full terabyte of footage, and it took me about 15 hours to edit 1 minute of video. I cannot stress enough that you have to factor in all of your time and costs and price based on that, not just the fact that the video might be short. A 1 minute video could take you 2 minutes to film and 20 minutes to edit, or it could take you days. So you've made it this far and you're committed to giving this thing a go. What's next? Before you officially start offering video, you need to practice. You can practice with an upcoming client and gift them the video clips as a bonus. You could ask one of your favorite clients to model for you in exchange for free video clips, or you could trade with another photographer. Also, get yourself on video. You can't preach the importance of video if you don't have any for yourself. Set up a tripod or trade with another photographer. Like I said at the beginning, my video from 2018 on my website header was filmed by myself on a tripod, and I asked a friend to model. You just have to find a way to make it happen. Just like it doesn't make sense to preach the importance of brand photos without investing in photos yourself, the same goes for video. And speaking of investing, it's super important to invest in your business and yourself. This doesn't always mean that you have to invest money. For you, it could just be investing time learning. You can literally learn anything and everything on YouTube. But if you'd like me to teach you everything I know about capturing B-roll as a brand photographer, then you can get my mini course called B-roll for Brand Photographers, where we go a lot more in depth on everything that we talked about in this video. It's super affordable, and you will more than cover the cost when you book your first photo and video shoot. You can learn more at pagemajor.com/b-roll. You can also hit that subscribe button and continue to learn here for free on my channel. I'll see you in the next video.